Cottonwood Strategic Planning Retreat. We do this once a year, and every other year when we have a new council elected, we do a larger session, a more robust session where we invite some of our community stakeholders in. And I know a couple of you have been on this call in past years, and we're really glad that you're here with us today. You're on a panel that is going to be focused on economic development and workforce development. This is a large panel. We have a lot of folks on today, so we're going to kick things off real quick. We're going to start off, well, let me just first say we have representatives from Local First, Yavapai College Small Business Development Center, the Verde Valley Regional Economic Organization, Vivi Rio, the Haunted Group, Yavapai College, and Northern Arizona Council of Governments. And we're going to start first with Liza Nolan from Local First. Welcome.
Hello, how is everybody today?
Great, we can hear you.
Great, that's a start. Looking for just introductions?
I'm sorry, you want us to introduce ourselves?
No. Do you want me to introduce myself or just dive into all of my suggestions and go from there?
You can introduce yourself and then dive right in, absolutely.
Okay, so I'm the Director of Rural Programs for Local First Arizona. I have been with the organization for about 2 years, and in the course of that 2 years have seen multiple definitions of economic development arise, come, go, find strength, and then disappear. So it's an interesting panel to be a part of. And I guess from our perspective, there are a couple of things that I would really want to emphasize in this discussion around economic development, which is in rural communities, economic development is rarely just your traditional economic development. To focus too much effort on the attraction of a large organization to bring hundreds of jobs at a time, and to not pay equal attention to creating and strengthening your economy one job at a time, I think is a misstep in rural communities. And I think what Cottonwood has always done and is very good at is in recognizing the power of small business. And I think that COVID has really brought to light for so many the economic importance of our small businesses. So from a platform of areas of focus, we certainly suggest looking hard at the strength of your small businesses, the ease of starting a new business, and the support in doing so, not only through policy and process, but also through support from other businesses, from town council, and from other organizations. Am I on the right track here? Because I didn't get an example to see of anybody else doing this, so I don't know.
You're absolutely on the right track, Ben.
Okay, good. The second thing, so your entrepreneurship, your small businesses, and the strength there and understanding their needs. I think you do a great job of this, above and beyond what we've seen statewide through so many of the partners that you even have here on the panel today. I do think that taking a look at tourism, and not only obviously at tourism, but it's a big part of Cottonwood's economy and has been very strong in the past, and I think has an opportunity to continue to evolve. And many on your council have heard me say this before, but I've found that if you create a community for tourists, your locals hate it. And if you create a community for locals, the tourists love it. And I think there's an opportunity in Cottonwood to strengthen local input and local connection through your initiatives. And I think that addressing some diversity, inclusion, and social equity in Cottonwood would be beneficial in looking at your Hispanic population and what voice they have in this community, whether it be in community events, for your Hispanic-owned businesses. You've got, I think, 18% of your businesses are Hispanic-owned. And I think in making sure that you strengthen those businesses and provide the same resources and voice to them in the right places is a key to some economic strategy next year. I also love the idea of a local procurement policy. I think the city has power, has purchasing power, and I think that a lot of businesses in your community or nearby communities would love to do business with you and may be doing already. But if you haven't already considered maybe a dedication of a percentage of your annual purchases to local businesses, it truly, truly can make a huge economic impact on those businesses, local jobs, and local money circulating in the economy. So one thought was maybe potentially SBDC or other partners putting together, and maybe they do this already, a doing business with the city of Cottonwood workshop, and helping local businesses understand the procurement process and how to position themselves to be a partner. And finally, I think making sure that your business community is convening around their workforce challenges. Of course, I'm going to stand on this platform, but as you know, Local First was given a grant by the state of Arizona to really address rural job creation, and wholeheartedly believe that that can't be accomplished without the input of the employers. And it is a true challenge to get the employers to convene and spend time talking about their workforce challenges. They might not like each other, and they certainly don't like workforce. It's boring, but it's important. And I think to really get the city's participation in helping to convene around those conversations for you guys, construction, healthcare, hospitality, and strengthening that, I think would really help to create some jobs there for you. Did I use all my time or do I get more?
I think we're gonna, you know what, we're gonna cut you off there, Liza, because I bet you can go on, and we're gonna have the council ask questions of the entire panel when we're done. But I really do appreciate you being here. Local First helped put Cottonwood on the map years and years ago, and you've always been a really strong partner. And again, when COVID hit, you guys were first to have assistance flow to some of our residents here, and really appreciate that very much. You've always been a good partner. Let's move on then to our Yavapai College Small Business Development Center. I believe we have Jerry Denniston on the line with us from the SBDC. Thanks so much for being here.
Hi, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, City Council members also for this opportunity. I do have just a short slide presentation that I'll share with you because it'll just make it, I think, easier to provide some information about SBDC services. I am the director of the Small Business Development Center located attached to Yavapai College. Our primary offices are in Prescott Valley, but we do have Ruth Ellen Olinsky on our team, who is our Verde Valley business analyst. So just to tell you a little bit about the SBDC, we are funded by the Small Business Administration and Yavapai College. And the purpose of our reason for being is really to provide business owners with opportunities to launch, grow, sustain, and transition their enterprises. So all of our services are no cost, everything funded through the SBA and Yavapai College. And we do one-on-one confidential counseling with small business owners to help them grow and expand their businesses. Some of the services that we provide, free confidential counseling is a big part of everything that we do. We also host affordable workshops, and right now with the pandemic, most of those workshops are virtual. In fact, all of them are virtual via Zoom. And we have a lot of local partnerships with organizations such as SCORE, such as NACOG, such as Local First Arizona, a wide variety, all of the local chambers of commerce, our economic development officers throughout Yavapai County. And we also have a huge network of resources. So we like to say that if we don't have the answer on our team and we don't have the expertise on our team, we have access to all of the people at the 10 centers throughout the state of Arizona, as well as the 1,000 plus SBDC centers across the United States. And SBA, all of the people at SBA, we have who have deep resources as well. So wide variety of resources that we can bring to bear to help the small business owner. And another piece of of the pie of what we do at the SBDC is also to provide access to SBA and microloans. So this year, a lot of that effort was focused on disaster funding to help the small business owners with access to economic injury disaster loans and Paycheck Protection Program loans. But we're also doing a lot of what we call core funding, which is helping clients with access to getting SBA loans and working with lenders on other types of lending for expansion purposes and growing their business. Some of the consulting services that we provide, business planning, financial forecasting, and management, and these are all, we don't do the work for the client. We bring the resources to bear. We have free tools that we can make available to the client, but they actually ultimately end up doing the work with a lot of coaching and guidance from SBDC personnel. We help clients with marketing, with helping creating websites, social media marketing, e-commerce, which is a big trend and going to be, I think, probably a big piece of what we do next year as more and more people are shopping online. And then government contracting. We have PTAC, which is Procurement and Technical Assistance Center in the state of Arizona. They are a partner with our state network, and they provide a lot of expertise in government contracting. So any clients that are interested in pursuing government contracting, we can help them with that aspect as well. The other thing that occurred last year, and it has continued, is a very strong partnership with the Arizona Commerce Authority and all of the centers in the state of Arizona. And with this partnership comes access to their resources as well, which includes their small business checklist, the Entrepreneur's Edge, Export Tech. They have a lot of resources in exporting. If any of the clients, businesses in Cottonwood are interested in exporting, then we can certainly connect them with resources at the Arizona Commerce Authority, as well as grants for training purposes. The other thing I wanted to share is that we are, thanks to the CARES Act and some additional funding that we received from the state office of the SBDC, we have the funds to launch a special program that we're calling the Small Business Makeover Program. We're in the planning stages and the building stages right now, but our goal is to launch this in January with a lot of advertising and promotion. And this is patterned after the Small Business Revolution, which is a show that you can see on Hulu. Out of this, 4 businesses will receive what we're calling an in-depth makeover of a lifetime. We bring tools, resources, subject matter experts to bear to solve 1 to 3 major issues that the business has, and then our goal is to attract 60 new businesses that will receive what we're calling a mini makeover that will be comprised of a variety of workshops, probably like a boot camp. And we will have that identified in more detail when we move into January. But the whole objective of this is to help these businesses that have been impacted by the pandemic to help them really move forward and grow their business. And so this is an exciting program we'll be launching next year. And you'll be hearing a lot more about that. Just so that you're aware, we have this funding from the SBA, which also comes with it a requirement to track certain metrics. And these are the metrics that we do track from our clients that work with us. It's all anonymous information. It's just the data, the aggregate data that we provide in terms of total clients that we've served, jobs that have been created or retained, business starts throughout Yavapai County, capital formation in terms of access to loans, how many of them actually either invested in their own businesses and or got additional funding from a variety of sources, and increased sales, and then average wages. So that's the information that we are tracking. This just gives you an idea of the goals. The SBA sets the goals for us. We do not get a choice. And our goals for 2020 and for 2021 will be the same as they were for 2020. But the second column here shows you what the goals that we were charged with helping small businesses achieve. And this shows what we've actually produced with the small businesses this year And you can see we've exceeded all of those goals, and thanks a lot to the pandemic and the disaster funding. But just to give you an idea of how many businesses we did support just for disaster services this year, a total of 286 businesses that actually received over $5 million in disaster funding. And you can see some of it was EIDL and most of it was Paycheck Protection Program lending. And hopefully a lot of that will get forgiven as the application phase really comes into play next year. For Cottonwood, we have the capability of breaking out data by community. And so for us, the Cottonwood area includes Cornville and Page Springs. And these are the actual clients, number of clients and number of jobs and a new capital that those businesses have sought this year. We hope to increase that obviously next year. And part of that help comes from promotion in Cottonwood itself by all of the council members, our partners, Chamber of Commerce, et cetera, helping us get the word out that the SBDC is here to help Cottonwood businesses. Because of the pandemic, and we are working remotely, we anticipate that we will probably continue to do so and work remotely, seeing clients only via Zoom and telephone call. Probably, at least in January, the first quarter of next year, but possibly into the second quarter of next year as well. However, when we do get back to normal and we are able to visit with clients one-on-one, then we work out of the primary offices, the Yavapai College campuses, the Verde Valley campus, the Sedona Center, and the Prescott Valley Center. But then we also go visit clients and we see them by appointment at the other locations that you see here on the screen. So we will travel to the client location. As I said, Ruth Ellen is our full-time business analyst in the Verde Valley, and she's the first point of contact for any Cottonwood businesses. And then this is the rest of the team who work primarily out of the Prescott Valley office, but we all work as a collaborative team. And so even though Ruth Ellen may be the primary contact for Cottonwood businesses, if there's a skill set that's needed from any other member of the team, then we all are available to assist. And so everybody really kind of doesn't matter where we're located. We work collaboratively with all of our clients. And that is all I had to share, and I'm happy to take any questions when the council is ready to ask them. Thank you very much, Mayor.
That's great. Thanks, Ms. Dennison. Appreciate you being here. And again, really appreciate your leadership and your partnership here in the Verde Valley. Again, with COVID, your ability to process those emergency or economic injury disaster loans and PPP loans was beneficial for a lot of our businesses. And one strange byproduct too of the pandemic is a lot of folks are starting their own business. And here again, the SBDC has really stepped in to help people get their business plans together and get back to contributing to our local economy. So thanks for your partnership and all of that.
Sure, we're happy to. And we are seeing a lot of startups right now. Yes. Thank you.
All right, Mary Shaquin, we're going to turn our attention to you. I think you're double dipping today. We're going to hear from you twice. But we're sure glad to have you. You're with VV Rio, the Verde Valley Regional Economic Organization. Thanks for being here. We can't hear you, unfortunately.
Oh,
there,
okay.
Nope, there you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, great.
As Mayor Alinsky said, I am Mary Shaquin. I am the Executive Director of VV Rio. I have also been a board member and board chair for about 6 years. So I've been a part of VV Rio from a lot of different perspectives. We have a vision for collaborative resource building and sustainable economic prosperity in the Verde Valley. How we achieve that is through our mission of providing access to resources for regional business creation, attraction, retention, and expansion. And because I'm an overachiever, all of you have received a packet that I dropped off that has a lot of the details of who VV Rio is and the programs that we support and are a part of. And I will only be able to highlight some of those today. So I wanted all of the counselors to have the details. And I know there are some new counselors who have not gotten the information before, and the rest of you probably have a half a dozen copies now. So forgive me on being over providing, if you will. A little background about VV Rio. We are a public-private partnership. We have 15 private board members, and then we have 6 to 8 representatives of all of the cities, towns, the Yavapai Apache Nation, the municipalities. We're working to get the county, the Yavapai Apache Nation on our board so that we have regional representation and addressing regional issues. One of the things I would like to talk about today actually is to go to our strategic plan, which was a regional economic development strategic plan developed in 2018 through a partnership with APS and Yavapai County and VV Rio, because we felt it was time to identify some key direction for the region and identify priorities and also identify leadership as it related to some of the priorities that we have. The plan came out to have 6 different pillars: regionalism, talent attraction and development, prosperous business, promotion, sustainability, and VV Rio organizational viability. Well, as you can imagine, we can't address all of the key components of the plan at once, and VV Rio is not even the lead on a lot of the components. So what we did is we created a long-range strategic planning committee that has 40 individuals on it, and they represent all the economic development directors in the region. We have an elected official from each one of the communities, representation from the county and private industry to identify sort of where do we start? What are the priorities that we need to look at as far as VV Rio goes? And so what I'd like to do is I'd like to focus on basically 3 of those priorities today, because we can't look at all of them, but to talk about ones that are really at the forefront of economic development in the Verde Valley at this point. The 3 are broadband, housing and workforce housing needs, and then what we're calling sort of a business attraction and prosperous business. I'm going to start with the business attraction because this highlights a program that VV Rio has been a part of for a number of years. We created it about 10 years ago. We've gotten secured grant and loan funding on behalf of the board. Over that time, we have provided $813,000 in loans to businesses that cannot get loans through commercial environments. The loan fund we have is $700,000 that's been secured by our board. As an FYI, we've given out 15 loans, 6 of them to businesses in Cottonwood, and some of the larger loans have been to businesses in Cottonwood. I encourage the counselors to continue to even identify businesses that are in need of funding that can't get, ongoing funding through the banks. And we are very fortunate to have the SBDC, where we have an amazing relationship, because all of our loan applicants have to work through the SBDC in preparing business plans and marketing plans and financial plans so that they all have a foundation of what's needed within the business environment. Because very honestly, our entrepreneurs want to go do their business, and creating financial statements and some of those kinds of things are not necessarily at the top of their list. One of the other things that we launched 2 years ago is what we call Pioneer Pitch or Moonshot AZ. We do that in partnership also with the SBDC. And it's an amazing program. It's run out of NASET, Moonshot in Flagstaff. We've done it 2 years now, and we have provided business counseling and networking and pitch presentation like Shark Tank to more than 40 businesses in the Verde Valley just in the last 2 years. We will be doing it again next year if COVID will ever let us alone. But we certainly intend to do that. And again, it's really exciting. Of the, each year we have we have 5 top businesses. We've done it 2 years, so that would be 10. 3 of those businesses have also come from Cottonwood. And what we do with those top businesses, they received a conglomeration of probably more than $40,000 of assistance in cash and in-kind services to help enhance their business. So we have a real commitment to expanding business, creating business, working with our business owners so that they are more successful as they move forward. I will say we went on hold pretty much and did a lot of loan modifications as a part of the COVID process. Just because of the dynamics, we are now seeing businesses coming to us for loans. And as Jerry also stated, we have a lot of new businesses emerging. It's really exciting to see. I also think it's exciting to see that most all of our businesses, we only have one that we're having to navigate some of the payback and everything, but some of our businesses have excelled just because of the opportunities that have been made available. I understand there are also some that have not done well, but that is not the case across the board. A lot of our businesses have done exceptionally well in that whole process. The next key area that we're going to focus on, and I'm going to admit I'm going to address that in an hour when we do the housing issue. Workforce housing is, as you know, a critical need in the Verde Valley. And when we did the identification with our long-range strategic planning committee as far as top priorities and where we needed to focus resources and funding and the work we were doing, workforce housing came out at the top. But if you don't mind, I'm going to address all those details in about an hour as to what we're doing and where we stand.
That's great. Thanks, Mary.
You're welcome. The next topic I'd like to address, which is also a critical need in the Verde Valley, is broadband. The Verde Valley has had significant issues related to broadband for years. I went back and did some research, and would you believe all of the communities did a resolution in 2009 to support broadband networks in the Verde Valley. In 2015, VV Rio did a study that started to look at the middle mile for broadband. And it's sort of been fits and starts, and nothing has really taken off. Well, with COVID, the whole issue has just been in our face. We continue to see ourselves moving farther and farther apart because we're not addressing the major issues of broadband in the Verde Valley. Then how is that really impacted? First of all, we can't bring back or bring in the industries we're looking at. In our strategic plan, we identified key industries that were even part of the support chain for the industries we have. And unless we have the technology going to places where they're going to have their buildings, their offices, we can't put in things like manufacturing and precision light manufacturing. The support chain, their supply chain that supports the wine and craft beer industry, like bottling and labels and corks, which people are asking for. And it would be great if we could bring those resources here and actually support the really successful industries that we have. Another industry that is being looked at is even the transportation. I mean, along the 260 and I-17 corridor, how can we work with some of those kinds of things? Other key areas that have really shown a real lacking, I'm going to say, with COVID especially, relates to education and telemedicine. You know, we have people who can't go into the hospital or go to the different service areas, but they have a really difficult time talking with their doctors on the phone, which has major issues, or through Zoom, and they can't do that. And some of the doctors have real concerns. How can you certainly diagnose someone when you can barely see them or understand what they're saying? Education, as we all know, has been a huge issue because we have places that even a hotspot's not available here in the Verde Valley. And that is unacceptable. And as we look at even education, and all of these things are integrated, you know, we look at the people, an ASU study on housing, let's go back to housing, 20% of the students in Arizona are graduating and going on to college. It relates to housing, it relates to resources. And all of a sudden, our broadband, in a sense, is worse than ever because the demands are worse than ever. So VV Rio has, you know, along with the entire region and leadership across the state, is moving out and looking at creating funding and getting funding for an initial EDA grant and other funding to look at concept and pre-engineering so that we can really begin to define the middle mile and create that infrastructure. The goal also of that is to get redundancy. I mean, it is scary when your 911 system goes down. I mean, we've had school systems go down. That's unacceptable, particularly in the position we're in. And we're also looking at growing businesses here. A key business that's always been identified is sort of place neutral businesses, the entrepreneurs. They require the technology to be able to do their businesses from home. I'm a perfect example. I cannot do Zoom from my home. So for the last 9 months, I've driven someplace else so that I could actually participate in meetings. I can do that for my business, but it's really hard when you're trying to teach your children and things like that. And even though we've got infrastructure in place, all of a sudden, when you've got 4 demands from, different in your home, whatever, people doing business and education and all that, the quality of the network is not working. So we have identified that as a key priority. We are moving ahead and working on a grant. Actually, we will be coming to each of the councils across the region, asking to make a presentation once we have all the details of that in place.
Great. Thank you, Mary. Appreciate the update on broadband, and I appreciate your leadership through VV Rio on working on broadband solutions here. Next, I'm real pleased that we have Eric Jerson. I believe you're on the phone, sir, from the Haunted Group. Are you with us? May not be with us right now. We're going to keep on moving here forward. If he's on the call, he can join us here in a minute. John Morgan, you're with Yavapai College. You've run an extremely successful program over there for career tech, and we are excited on this side of the mountain to have a similar program being constructed shortly. But really appreciate you being on the call today.
Thanks for having me. Can you see my screen okay?
Yep, we can hear you.
All right, can you see my presentation there?
Yes, we can see that. Thank you.
Okay, very good, thanks. Well, appreciate you having me there today. Again, I'm John Morgan. I've been with Yavapai College for about 22 years. I'm the Dean of Career and Technical Education. And, I think we're in a really unprecedented time for the Birdie in terms of what we're able to do and where we're heading there now. We have a lot of things under construction, which I'm going to speak to you a little bit about today there, and then talk to you about sort of how you can leverage and how that works with us in terms of leveraging the college when you're trying to get a small business in or even larger businesses. So right now we just spent about a year and a half remodeling Building L on the Clarkdale campus. And we expanded our nursing, our science EMT labs there. And we also then added new programs there in engineering and manufacturing. We knew that having put together a committee that worked for 6 months last year and tried to identify technical programs that the Verde wanted, manufacturing and engineering were in the top 7, and we were already kind of down the road in terms of getting those in place. So we successfully launched and opened those programs this fall and partnered with the local CTED with Bob Weir's group and got our first batch of students into these labs that we have. They're very state of the art. They have 3D printing in them. They have robotics in them. We've upgraded very heavily the EMT nursing programs there, very state-of-the-art simulation, all in hopes of beginning to have not only a place to train your workforce, but to also, when you're having companies come in, they always are asking for these types of programs, the technical programs in particular. One of the things that people don't know is that the technical jobs in the United States represent roughly 70% of the workforce. We tend to always think bachelor's, master's, PhD, and that is really far from reality of what goes on in the working world. And the technical wages are doing better than they ever have. USA Today did a very good story on where they truly are. You'd be surprised at the 6-figure jobs that are sitting in 2-year technical degrees or less all across the United States. And then we have a tremendous shortfall of filling right now. So excited to have Building L going over there and the new changes. And what I mean by leveraging us is one of the reasons Combat Systems just located on the Prescott Airport. Well, actually, there are 2 primary reasons: Embry-Riddle and Yavapai College. Embry-Riddle had the engineers they were seeking, and Yavapai College had the technicians. And so we were able to work with the city of Prescott to move them out of San Diego. And that is one of the first very key technical companies that I think will spring a lot more of these high techs into Yavapai County once we can prove what we're able to do. So again, we started these things. We have advanced CNC machining there. We have robotics, and I encourage you, if you get a chance, to go see that. I know we've had all these COVID restrictions. You really need to see what's in your backyard now. and take a look at what's there and familiarize yourselves with it so that you can speak to these companies as they come. The New Skills Trade Center is on its way. We're finishing up right now, and unfortunately, it doesn't look like my picture popped up, but we have phase one of a New Skills Trade Center, and that will have 4 new programs in it as well. It'll have HVAC in it, which is heating and air conditioning training. It'll have standard core construction in it, plumbing and electricians. And I wanted to emphasize something really important that's happened. So for about the last year, we've been working on trying to see if we could get a 3D printer for 3D printing housing. Globally, this is really taking off. It's still in its infancy in the United States, but it offers about a 40% less cost of building traditional homes. So I'm happy to announce that as of actually this week, we have selected a partner in that venture with us, which is out of the Verde Valley. It's Arizona Custom Concrete Homes. They're going to be the first custom home builder in northern Arizona that is going to 3D print these homes. And that ties into some of your conversations you heard earlier about the cost of homes. Quite frankly, all my kids were educated here at Yavapai College, and they all had to leave and basically go to the Valley because it's very hard for young people to start up here and afford a home, and it's getting worse, not better. So we know that we will be the first college in the U.S. to teach 3D custom home printing. Our machine is actually on the dock, and we're getting ready to train with the partner out of Verde. Actually, beginning in 2 weeks, we're going to do a lot of test prints, then do a proof of concept home, try to get through all of the barriers with zoning and all this stuff, but really excited to get that going. We think it holds tremendous potential for us to actually get affordable, truly affordable workforce housing. And these homes are beautiful. We'll still teach traditional stick construction, but the 3D printing, I think, is going to be key. And it's kind of nice to know that the first partner is in your own backyard, which is kind of cool. So again, we're also adding brewing over there as a fall program. So the 5 programs you see here, brewing, HVAC, construction, electrical, plumbing, will all be added in the fall semester of 21. Brewing, of course, is just another take on the very successful viticulture and enology program that you've had going there. Brewing, been mulling that around for a few years now. It looks like we're poised to get that off the ground in the Verde next fall as well. And we're also expanding our agriculture program there. We had a small greenhouse on site. That's been removed, and we're replacing it with a larger greenhouse. And the ag industry is prominent in the county. Verde certainly has its share of agriculture. The greenhouse industry is one of the better things I think we've got going in the whole county right now. About half of it is tied up into the medical marijuana, and the other half is really in bedding plant production. But we see that as very key to economic growth. We have the right altitude for this. We have certainly have the interest. Right now in our division, in the technical side of the college, our ag is our fastest growing area. Really, since COVID hit, it's kind of like we've had this renaissance, and people are wanting to get back into it. So that program is exploding, and we think that's going to translate well over into the Verde with a larger greenhouse that we can teach out of there. So again, we're here to help. I think it's an exciting time for what's going on with the Verde in terms of bringing some key components to help you attract industry and to train your local workforce. So that's what I have, and we're looking forward to some questions.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Morgan, for being here. And I had the opportunity a year or more ago to go tour your facility over there in Prescott, and boy, I sure was jealous. I sure was jealous. You got a great facility, and we're so excited to have something similar here in Cottonwood, so thank you. All right, next we have Terry Drew from NACOG. I know you're awfully busy. I appreciate you taking the time today, Ms. Drew, to be here. We look to you for the 30,000-foot elevation on how things are going here in your region. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Mayor Alinsky and members of the council. I'm so grateful to be here, especially with a panel among friends. So hello to all my friends out there. And I did provide a PowerPoint. Unfortunately, I was told they were not able to load it, but they did provide a copy to council members. So I'll go ahead and walk through that process just to let you know a little bit about NACOG and who we are. So our vision is to create a quality, sustainable regional economy while preserving the heritage and natural resources. And I think anybody anywhere in the NACOG district wants that preservation of natural resources and heritage. Our mission is to build economic success through workforce development partnerships. So I actually wear 2 hats, and one hat is the regional director for the Economic Development District, and we're funded through the U.S. Department of Commerce Economic Development Administration. We are the Northern Arizona District, and like I said, I'm the regional director there. The other hat that I wear is I'm the executive director for the Yavapai County Workforce Development Board. In the handout, and I apologize for the public that are in attendance, you'll note that the NACOG region is rather large. So we encompass 4 counties, the largest nation in the country in the Navajo Nation, 47,000 square miles geographically in Arizona. NACOG's been around a long time, and so have I. Last week I celebrated 43 years. NACOG was incorporated, I think, 45 years ago. And just simply put, as a COG, NACOG is a regional collaborator and convener. We're the economic development arm. Our economic development council is representative of the 24 communities that we serve in the 4 counties that we serve. Our workforce development board is privately led by various businesses throughout Yavapai County. Our primary goals are business retention, attraction, and expansion. And I have to say that during this pandemic, I like the renaissance that John referenced. I've not ever been busier. The attraction to Yavapai County has been tremendous. And a lot of, so for business, on the business aspect. So to give you an idea, currently there are 62,000 individuals constantly looking at Yavapai County for jobs. We were recently able to assist CP Technologies that John was referencing with the job fair, and we netted over 270 applicants for their 30 positions. The good news is that while we've had a reputation in Yavapai County, and especially in West County, as being a retirement community or a retirement county, go and retire, we are seeing a huge uptick in the number of individuals 28 to 35 returning to this area to start new businesses, returning to this area to take new jobs. Of course, along with that interest, we're having a surge. We're having a demand. Let me use the word demand for higher wages. And wages is how the wage and cost of living has been a disparity in Yavapai County over time. And like I said, individuals coming in are coming in with a demand for wages. And because the supply is so low, it's really having an effect on the average wage in Yavapai County. NACOG and our workforce board just completed our annual plan, and our annual plan, our annual report shows that we served 37,203 individuals last year. So our program year begins July 1, 2019, and concluded on June 30th, 2020. And of course, this large number is largely due to the numbers of individuals that lost their employment during shutdowns. I want to always thank Jerry Dennison. She and I think, have worked together very well. And during that time, we shared many microphones and panels trying to assist community. She more on the business side, and us more on the community side, helping individuals file those unemployment claims, helping the state of Arizona file those unemployment claims, and then helping individuals secure jobs. So in our process with the Department of Labor, we like Jerry, have federal performance standards imposed on us. And we were able to exceed our employment rate by 110%. And more important than individuals that we place is how long are those individuals retained in those jobs. And we had 120% retention rate for individuals that we placed. And we achieved that retention rate because we work behind the scenes in a case management arena with our clients. And so we're working with them to break down barriers so they don't bring those barriers to the employer's front door. And so that's a lot of the work that helps lead us to a positive retention rate. Mayor, and maybe some of the council members, that we do serve both public entities and the private sector as well. We provide wage reimbursements. We can turn a contract around in 3 days. And the city has been the recipient of firefighters and police officers and administrative staff. And we thank you for your partnership and for being a customer with us. And we stand ready to continue to meet your local needs in Cottonwood. and throughout Yavapai County. And I'll stop there and allow you to move your agenda on. And the last slide says, together we make a difference, and of course, divided we fall.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you for taking the time. And is Mr. Jerson, Eric Jerson, are you able to call in? Are you out there yet? No, I'm afraid he wasn't able to join us today. All right, at this time, we're going to open it up for questions from council for our panelists. Do you have any questions? I had a question for you, Terry Drew. You said in tracking the demographics of Yavapai County, I think we have been the oldest county in the state, and you see that that's changing somewhat. Can you tell me what those trends are?
You know, that, like I said, the trends are, we're just seeing an inordinate number of individuals in the 28 to 35 range. And it's a lot due to the pandemic. And so when there's an economic condition or economic injury, what the tendency is to move closer to home. So that's why we're seeing a lot of returning graduates from the Prescott area. Embry-Riddle is having huge success with returning alumni coming back to this area. We know now, following the pandemic, that remote working is prosperous. It's effective, and the brick and mortar is going to go away, allowing individuals to reside where they want to live, not where they need to live, and continue to enjoy jobs anywhere in the world. I always like to tell the story. My son's being recruited to work in Tokyo. He does not live in Tokyo. He has no desire, but that's our competition today. So the global economy, we need to be competitive. I didn't mention, but NACOG is also working on a regional broadband expansion turnkey operation. And Mary talked about the process of planning, and it's been going on a very long time. I used to sit on the Broadband Council, and we were talking about planning then, and I believe, Mary, it was in 2008. And so it's time to move beyond planning and to attract some dollars to northern Arizona. And what makes the most sense is connectivity among communities, among counties, and among regions.
So the trend then for Yavapai County becoming younger is a pandemic-related trend? You didn't see this trend occurring pre-COVID?
No, didn't see it at all, and primarily to comments that were made earlier about the cost of living. The cost of living here is rather high, and like I said, especially compared to our average wage, which was $15 an hour. And, you know, I've been trying to fill a few positions myself, and we had to break the budget and go ahead and offer those $23 and $25 an hour positions that typically were much lower than that, just to have that human capital in our offices. So it's changing, and something we know going forward is that there's been trillions and trillions of dollars in stimulus, and that needs to be paid back. And we're getting warnings from the congressional level saying, you know, fasten your seatbelt, because funds that you've become accustomed to are going to go away, because those funds are going to need to be paid back. So private investment becomes more important.
Can I answer that question too, Mayor? Because I was interested in this as well. And some of the workforce conversations we're having, the youth population comes up often, and rarely are they at the table, right? So in Cottonwood, your 2019 estimated population, you had 22% of your population under the age of 18 in Cottonwood. That's significant, I thought, and of interest. And it's really important for so many reasons in our rural communities to somehow engage those youth in the community, so that they connect to place, that they identify it as a hometown, and that the rhetoric being told to our youth isn't that if you stay, you fail. You've got a great college in the community, great educational resources, stronger than many. And I really think there's an opportunity to strengthen the youth and the trajectory of your youth in your town in particular, and the Verde Valley. And so, you know, programs that come to mind are youth entrepreneurship programs. I'm not sure if there's a youth advisory council for the city of Cottonwood, but man, the ideas and projects that they come up with and get going on are sometimes just fascinating. And I continue to believe that youth mentorship plays a critical role to success in the workforce and in the work environment. parents, as strong as I might think I am as a parent, I have found that I don't motivate my child as much as a mentor has. I mean, I've seen my son change over the course of 2 months through a mentorship experience that he had, and in 16 years, I still couldn't get him to sweep a floor. So I just would encourage some thought and conversation around engaging the youth in your community, given the amount that Cottonwood seems to have.
No, that's a great thought. Thank you. We do have a youth commission here, and the city of Cottonwood's provided quite a few mentor opportunities, but I agree, there's a lot of room for improvement and growth in that sector. Mr. Morgan, I had a question for you. I asked Dr. Ryan earlier when she was on our call, what's the plan to get butts and seats there at the Skilled Trades Work Center?
Well, that's $1 million question. Enrollment right now is really interesting. We typically in any of these skills trades programs have about a third they're all in. In other words, they've made up their mind they want to be in that. Another third who are just testing the water, and a third who are just sort of general interest and driving by. Really, your demographic. It's interesting to hear what Terry said, because I haven't seen our data in the last couple of months in terms of the Verde Valley, but as I recall, that wasn't the case over there. You got a really sharp declining population in the under 18 demographic. So if you're sitting at 20-something%, that's really interesting, and that actually bodes well for you. I think if we would compare that to Sedona or something, we wouldn't see that. But really, I mean, what it comes down to is in terms of butts and seats, we can market to some extent, but it's really, I think the best way to do it is what we're doing with the CTEDs. It truly is, especially with keeping people here. We have to start them younger, get them excited about technical fields, and then have them close to finishing by the time they get out of high school, so that with just maybe 1 or 2 more semesters, we can get them done. And certainly we want to dip into that typical 25 to 45-year-old workforce bracket as well. But we've seen our sharpest declines have been with that age group, and that's countywide. So it's interesting, again, what Terry's data is showing her right now, that we are getting some folks back that have left. I have seen that kind of my whole career, people that leave, have kids, come back with their kids, and then leave again because of the two primary issues you've talked about, wages and housing. So it's always a challenge. Butts and seats are always a challenge. And I still stand by the fact that I think our best thing is the pathways that we set with these CTED kids, to start them young and get them there and get their parents involved very early on. Because most parents do not see their kids in the trades. It's a significant problem. They see them as going to a university. But I have all the data in the world that can dispute what people have been conditioned to hear, that if you get a bachelor's, master's, PhD, you make more money. We're not finding that to be true. It's actually quite different, and the job availability is quite different as well. So, we'll continue to do, our core marketing, but really the push is going to be with the CTEDs and get them in younger, get them some college credits while they're in high school, and then have a very short time to completion once they graduate.
Well, if there's any opportunity to kind of leverage the influence that some of our local builders have in the area, we've got builders that have been here for generations, literally, that know the value of vocational programs and could probably help you get butts and seats. So if there's any way that we could assist, we really want to make sure that this program is successful. So anything we can do, we're all ears. So keep us in mind, please.
I appreciate that.
Any other questions? All right. Well, listen, appreciate all your time. I think, pre-COVID, there was a tremendous amount of trajectory from each and every one of your organizations that you represent. And then COVID hit, and I think maybe there was a hiccup. But I've seen each and every one of you pivot in ways that's just truly been amazing. And there's been so much opportunity that I would not have expected during the darker early days of COVID. But I haven't seen really that trajectory slow at all, just maybe change course, but move just as rapidly. And really appreciate all of you helping our economy remain very strong here in the Verde Valley. And Mary Shaquin, I know on the other side of the mountain, they look with envy at Vivi Rio. I know they'd like to get a program similar to what we have here, but your ability to make that success here in the Verde Valley is just really, really appreciated. So thank you for all you do. Thanks to all of you, and we're going to go ahead and take a break and kick off our next meeting here in about 20 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council members.